Hi everyone, and welcome to the last one on the Lord's Prayer. And we're looking today at the verse, "And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil." Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Now this is a controversial part of the Lord's Prayer. Why would God lead us into temptation? And there are variations on the Lord's Prayer. Some of the modern versions do not have "lead us into temptation." So let me go into that a wee bit. The Greek word parasmos, which relates to this, before the New Testament time, it never ever meant temptation. It meant trial or testing. So that's the first point. Because temptation, I suppose, has the meaning or the sense of incitement to sin. So if you're tempted, it's an incitement for you to fall from grace and to sin. But the word very rarely means that. And in the book of James, we're told that God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt others with evil. So what's going on here in this verse in the Lord's Prayer? Well, if we look at it from the point of view of being more related to a testing time or a time of trial, I think we're on the right path. And some scholars believe that we should, in a sense, translate the Greek phrase there with a kind of permissive nuance, so that it would come out as, "Let us not be brought. Let us not be brought into trial." And it's a trial that probably is seen as one that could lead to the temptation for us to fall from grace. So trial leading to temptation is probably the issue here. So let us not be brought. That should be the nuance of it. Not by God, but by circumstances or even by the devil. Because remember, it's "deliver us from evil" is the second part of this verse. So we're dealing here with the challenges that we face in the world. And what's being argued here, I think, is that there are trials in life, but in some ways they can produce character. Someone once said that from the Christian perspective, life is three things. Firstly, it's a trust. Then it's a test, and then it's a temporary assignment. A trust in the sense it's a gift from God, our lives, but also the faith we've received in Jesus is another gift. And that trust we have to run with, to develop into, and to share with others. But life and the circumstances of life can be formation building. They can be character building. That's where our virtues come from. If we're covered in cotton wool, then we never grow. We have to be, in a sense, tested. And that's what produces growth. It produces growth in the sense of character and virtue, wisdom, knowledge. All of these things come through the struggles of life. But also faith as well can grow through all of these things. So coming back to the prayer, it's a prayer that the trial or the test would not be so great that we would be tempted to either to do something that's wrong or indeed to lose our faith and to fall from grace. And that puts a very different slant on it. It's an acknowledgement that life is often very difficult, but in the end, God's grace surrounds us. And this is just a prayer, a petition, that in all the struggles and all the twists and turns and the ups and downs and the changing reality of our lives, that circumstances or even evil would not bring us to the point of testing that would cause us to fall. And that's what's behind this prayer. And the last bit, "deliver us from evil." From the Christian point of view, our worldview, the way we look at things, is yes, it's a beautiful world, but not everything here is the way God intended. There is such a thing as evil. And that evil is pervasive and it's pernicious. And sometimes we go about as though it doesn't even exist, but it's there in very subtle ways. And from a Christian point of view, temptations are all around us. Temptations that can lead us in the wrong path. And that can become a trial as well, because then it's a test of our character and our virtue and our perspective and indeed our faith. But in all of that mix of interacting things, God is at work. And we need to remember to continue to be a praying people. We go through the Lord's Prayer. Let's not just say it on a Sunday. Perhaps this is something that we need to say every day. And this verse in particular, especially if we're going through testing times, this is a verse that should be on our lips. Now, this is the last one of the week. There's not a reflection tomorrow, and you're probably thinking, but the Lord's Prayer doesn't finish there. And yes, there is the doxology at the end, which reads, "For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen." But most scholars accept that this was added later because it is a doxology, so it's not part of the original Lord's Prayer, which is why I've divided the 5 reflections this week into what we have. So this one, "And lead us not into temptation or a time of trial, but deliver us from evil," is the final one for us today. Thank you for being with me all week, and I hope the Lord's Prayer has taken on some new nuance and a sense of value and importance for you through these reflections. And next time you see it, that some of these things will come to mind. Thank you for watching. God be with you, and I'll see you on Sunday.